strategy. Anything less will leave you hustling backwards. Creating real power. One of the best deals I ever negotiated was with Starz for my TV show Power. It was also, at least initially, one of my least lucrative deals. But that didn't faze me at all. My strategy when I started talking to Starz was not to get the biggest check possible. It was to create the biggest opportunity possible. From the moment I came up with the idea for Power, I knew that I was sitting on something special. My goal wasn't just to launch a single TV show. I was looking to create a franchise where the characters were so compelling that eventually they could support their own spinoffs. What Marvel had done in movies, I wanted Power to do in TV. I wasn't trying to create a planet. I wanted to create a universe. To bring that universe into existence, I had to be very humble with my initial demands. Despite my success in music and movies, my track record in television wasn't as strong. My only other foray into TV, an Apprentice-esque reality show on MTV called The Money and the Power, had been canceled after one season. I had to accept that I didn't have the leverage to demand a superstar-sized check. Yes, Starz believed in my vision, but they weren't ready to break open the bank. The budget they were offering was limited. If I wanted the show to be a hit, I'd have to spread that money around. That's why I agreed to do the first season for just $17,000 an episode. Over 8 episodes, that came out to $136,000. Mind you, it wasn't just $17,000 for acting in the show. I was also the executive producer. That meant I spent months in the writer's room and working with showrunner Courtney Kemp. When it was time to promote, I had to be front and center on Good Morning America, calling into radio stations and shaking sponsors' hands. I was making a total commitment to the show for $136,000. From a strictly financial perspective, it looked like a terrible deal for me. I could have made 3 times the amount just by doing a few club appearances or a 10-minute show. Forget about getting paid fairly. Given how much time I invested, I basically paid myself to make that first season of Power. When some people found out how much I'd agreed to do the first season for, they were shocked. They figured I would have told Starz, man, I'm 50 Cent. I can walk into a club, pretend to drink a glass of champagne for 5 minutes, and get paid $50,000. No way I'm signing this. That response may have seemed in character for 50 Cent, but it would have been a very short-sighted strategy. That's how Sean Money or Gilly the Kid might evaluate a situation, but not Curtis Jackson. By doing Power for well below my normal rate, I was betting on myself again, and this bet paid off spectacularly. Power quickly became Star's highest-rated show by a wide margin. Over the past 5 years, it's single-handedly driven the network's success. That metric has given me a lot of leverage in negotiations. When I first started talking to them, I had to be a little down to earth. After the show blew up, I could afford to be more aggressive. I built up so much leverage that I just re-signed with Starz for $150 million. The deal includes a 3-series commitment and a fund to help develop other G-Unit projects. When it's all said and done, it will probably be worth a lot more than that. Even when I was hustling on the set, in the writer's room, and on the promo runs, I never for a second thought my true value was only $17,000 an episode. That was just a number I had to agree on to jumpstart the process. My true value was going to lie in executive producing and starring in a hit TV show that would birth multiple spinoffs and multiple revenue streams. Everything I was doing in season 1 was meant to put me in a better position to make that happen. To be fair, I can afford to work for cheap that first season. I understand most people aren't in such a fortunate position. For you, taking less money up front might mean encountering real hardship. It might mean having to work a second job on top of whatever venture you're pursuing. It might mean taking out loans or giving up your apartment and moving in with a roommate. I realize steps like that can be demoralizing. I promise that these choices will be worth it in the long run. Securing the best long-term potential is always worth making sacrifices in the moment. Just do shit. Not long after Power launched, I was at a party at Jamie Foxx's house in LA. At one point, I was telling Jamie and a bunch of guys on his team a version of the same story I just shared with you. How I went to Starz with a vision, didn't get caught up on how much I was getting paid, and used that financial flexibility to fully execute my vision. You see that? You see how 50 just did that? Jamie told his friends while I was done. He just be doing shit. We gotta stop asking and just start doing shit too. Let's go. Jamie was just trying to motivate his team. In reality, he makes as many things happen as anyone. But in that moment, he managed to capture one of my fundamental principles in creating success. Just do shit. It seems like an obvious enough approach, but we spend a lot of time just waiting for permission to do shit instead of just making it happen. We fall into the trap of thinking the so-called gatekeepers, a boss, an executive, an agent, a critic, have to unlock that door ahead of us, when more often than not, it's really wide open, just waiting for us to walk through. One of the best ways to bypass those gatekeepers is to go directly to the people with your idea. The more time I've spent with corporate executives, the more I've noticed how clueless they are about how to connect with the public. They'll form focus groups, commission studies, hire influencers, everything but go directly to the people. My strategy has always been the opposite. I always try to connect with people on the most basic level. Take my involvement in the spirits industry. When I first got involved with F and Vodka back in 2015, the conventional wisdom said that the best way to sell vodka was to make it appear aspirational. Premium liquor had to represent a lifestyle that was slightly out of reach. That might have been what the marketing departments thought would work, but that's not how I was going to approach things. I decided the best way for Effin to increase its market share was for me to literally be within reach of my fans. The way I would do it was by hosting as many promotional events as possible. When I first got into the music business, meet and greets were an incredibly effective way to sell CDs. If I did an event at Tower Records, Best Buy, or Virgin Megastore, there would be lines out the door and around the corner. People wanted to shake my hand and get a picture, to have a connection with me, even if it only lasted 5 seconds. Then MP3s replaced CDs, and there wasn't anything to sell in person